Hey everybody, this is Scott Johnson, Guide Right Director of Petersburg Alumni Chapter in Petersburg, Virginia. I'm here with Kappa TV, and today we're sitting down with Commander Warren Judge and Ensign Cody Mitchell.
Greetings, brothers of Kappa Psi Fraternity Incorporated and the Kappa League program. I'm Commander Warren Judge, a 1996 initiate at the Epsilon Alpha Chapter of Kappa Psi Fraternity Incorporated at Elizabeth City State University.
I am Brother Cody Mitchell, a spring 2016 initiate of the Alpha Phi chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated at Virginia State University, 93rd Guile Grant Awardee, 45th Byron K. Armstrong Awardee.
We want to say welcome to Kappa League TV.
And we are here to help you to getting in college, hopefully becoming a brother of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and maturing throughout your careers. And we're here today just to give you some input on the Coast Guard C-SPI program, which is the College Students Pre-Commissioning Initiative. Cody, were you a member of this C-SPI program?
I was, Commander. I joined the Coast Guard back in 2016. Then from there went to boot camp, went back to Virginia State University to complete my time in the C-SPI program.
What brought you to the idea of joining, one, the Coast Guard, and then two, looking into the C-SPI program?
So I always wanted to join the Coast Guard. It's been a passion of mine to serve my country and be a part of something bigger than myself. And once I learned about the C-SPI program, I found Virginia State University. With that being a school that was selected for the C-SPI program, from there I went to Virginia State, toured the campus, absolutely fell in love with it. That was the only college that I applied for, and once I got accepted, attended Virginia State for 4 years.
So as we continue moving forward, where did you go after graduating from Virginia State University?
I went to the Coast Guard Academy located up in New London, Connecticut. From there I attended the 17-week Officer Candidate School program. Once I received my orders upon graduation, I went to the National Security Cutter, Coast Guard Cutter Kimball, home ported out in Honolulu, Hawaii.
And what do you do on board the Coast Guard Cutter Kimball?
So there I am a deck watch officer and then also the law enforcement officer on board. So overseeing the law enforcement and driving the cutter.
All right, so being a law enforcement officer on board the Coast Guard Cutter Kimball, what are some of the new and exciting things that you had opportunity to do?
So with that, I was able to oversee the boardings that we were doing on board. So we did a lot of partnerships with Sector Honolulu to do recreational boardings as well as create safety zones, for example, on the 4th of July holiday off the beaches of Honolulu. And from there, we are also doing security boardings for incoming vessels just to make sure all the documents and the safety of the people in Hawaii was all squared away.
All right, well, understanding that you've been on board a short amount of time, have you had an opportunity to see any good ports to visit with the cutter?
Yes. When I first met the cutter and we were sailing back to Honolulu, I was able to stop in the country of Panama for a few days.
Wow.
From there, I had other opportunities to go to Cuba, to Peru. So been up and down Central America and also been all around the United States.
What would you say to the brothers that are also in college and looking for an opportunity to pay for their college?
I think the C-SPI program is a great opportunity for college students. With that, the Coast Guard is willing to pay for their junior, senior year, not only their tuition but also their books and other fees. In that program, they will also get paid as an E3 during their time.
Which is, I believe, $2,043 per month just for your tuition, not to include the housing allowance that they will put on top of the tuition cost.
Yeah, so that housing allowance helped tremendously for my stay, paying for my housing on campus. And from there, it's a guaranteed position to serve my country and be a Coast Guard officer for the minimum requirement of 3 years.
All right, well, that's a good thing there, Brother Mitchell.
Yes, thank you. And how about yourself, Commander? What was your career path entering the Coast Guard?
Coming to the Coast Guard, the reason I came in was I flunked out of college. Just being transparent, I failed out of college and I had the tough task of telling my mom I didn't do well when I was going to the University of Florida. But I also told her, don't worry, I was going to get a degree. And then joining the Coast Guard, my brother was in the Coast Guard and he told me all these new exciting things that he was doing You know, this was back in the 80s. And I said like, oh, okay, I think I can do that. And want to be like my brother, I joined the Coast Guard. I had a couple of opportunities out on the Coast Guard cutters out of, where was I first? Port Canaveral, Florida. Went to New Smyrna Beach, Daytona. Then I drove cross country to Petaluma, California. Got stationed back down in New Orleans. Then I went on board 2 more cutters in Galveston, where I met my mentor, Captain John G. Witherspoon, who told me where I was going when I was leaving the ship. He said, "You're going to Air Station Elizabeth City." I said, like, what's in Elizabeth City? Well, that's where he wanted me to go, and I went there. Then I started going, paying out of my pocket to Elizabeth City State University. Then I started applying for different programs. I applied for the Coast Guard Officer Candidate School program, I believe about 8 times, and didn't get in. And I applied for the Coast Guard College program. At the time, was the pre-commissioning program for enlisted personnel called PPEP. And I applied, didn't get in, I think twice. Then when I finally got accepted, they said you can go to the school of your choice. And since I was already in Elizabeth City, I went to Elizabeth City State University, and then I went on to pledge, Kappa in the EA chapter, the coast of the boast, the boast of the coast, and doing those good things. And I graduated in the computer science with the 3.7 GPA. So it was an opportunity for me.
Wow, that is amazing, Commander. And upon graduating OCS, kind of what did your officer career path look like from there?
The officer career path, it has been interesting. I went to the C2CEN Command Control Engineering Center in Portsmouth, Virginia. Did that for 3 years, which is a computer payback tour. So I had an opportunity to learn, and I was a software developer. From that point, I went to Group Mobile to do some law enforcement, like yourself, and then I went to PG school, postgraduate school at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Then I graduated and went to ESU New Orleans, Electronic Support Unit in New Orleans, covering the entire Gulf Coast. And throughout that time, I was there for Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
My team and I were credited for saving up to 36,000 lives as we rebuilt the command and control infrastructure where the helicopter can talk to the land units and vet there and try to rescue individuals off the rooftop.
Wow.
And then from there, just continuing along with my career, I went to OPM, Office of Personnel Management, and I was in charge of career management for all Coast Guard officers. Then I had the unique opportunity of being the only Coast Guard at White House Communications, where I flew around the world with President Barack Obama, our 44th president. And I can't tell you what a unique experience that was for 3 years. My first 18 months, I was leading trips throughout the United States and throughout the world, pretty much CONUS and OCONUS, or international, shall I say. And then I got the invite to be the president at all times in the DC area. Then I got the invite to be at the president on board Air Force One, where I was like the communications guy, and it was a phenomenal experience just having your own seat on Air Force One. I really can't even talk about the knowledge that I learned being with number 44.
That sounds like an amazing career, Commander. And throughout this time, how did you see your leadership skills develop between Kappa and then even all the places you were stationed in the Coast Guard?
I think the Coast Guard gave me the foundation that allowed me to increase on that with being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. After I crossed the burning sands, I became the pole mark, the president of the chapter, and which allowed me to continue my leadership. So understanding how to lead members on the undergraduate chapter, I went on to graduate, became a lifetime member, and then I became pole mark of several alumni chapters while mixing and growing and maturing within the Coast Guard. So I think both organizations, the Coast Guard and Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, gave me an opportunity to grow into my own, as a lot of people say.
Wow, that is tremendous. I know, speaking on my experience between Kappa Alpha Psi and the Coast Guard, through the different trainings I was going through, by the time I was a senior and I was the student body president, a lot of the military leadership skills that I developed definitely helped me lead the student body my senior year at Virginia State. So
That's a really good thing. As now, does that also relate to your leadership capabilities now in the Coast Guard?
yes, I think they just continue to add tools to my tool belt, and from between what I learned between Kappa FSI and the continuous on-site experience I'm getting with the Coast Guard, my leadership skills continue to develop from day to day.
That's definitely a bonus, and the organization, the Coast Guard, give young individuals an opportunity to lead at a young age, shall I say, because you have individuals that's in charge of the cutters or individuals that's in charge of a boat and doing law enforcement. Like myself, I had unique opportunities where I just recently was the executive officer at Coast Guard Base Elizabeth City. So I went back like 21, 22 years after I was there the first time, and being second in command of the base, it was almost like a good homecoming for 3 years, where I did a lot of community involvement.
Yep.
Got involved with the university where I went to school, Elizabeth City State University, and just did some phenomenal things, Coast Guard and ECSU. And then as I was departing, the mayor, Mayor Betty Parker, gave me a key to the city.
Oh, that is outstanding.
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's no way I could have told you I would have been at this stage in my life.